What's up, fam? Country CEO back in the house again. Man, look, I got a good one. I got a good one. I got a good one. I know this is a good one today, and I know it's a secret to most. Because most people don't even think on this level, man. Welcome back to the channel, subscribers, family, and friends. I'm talking about the fifth dump truck secret that most people do not know about. And when they find it out, it's too late. Too late. Too late. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you should know your per mile and or per hour and or per load operating cost. Y'all have heard me say 95% of what I do is by the hour. You gotta know this to determine, are you making money? What are your margins? If you don't know what it costs to run your truck in these different facets, whether it be per hour, per mile, per load, you could be losing money on every job. You could be losing. Let me give you an example. Well, let me get into the what, then I'll give you an example. It's your true bottom line after fuel, insurance, and repairs. You know, when you can figure that out, it helps you to price jobs properly, and it keeps you profitable even when fuel prices go up, knowing what it costs to run your truck per mile, per hour, per load. Here's why that's important. Undervaluing your services equals death by 1,000 cuts. You going out of business every day and don't even know it. You need this number to be able to negotiate contracts. Y'all hear me talk all the time about bidding on jobs, DBE, whatever. I need to know, and I do know, what it costs for me to run, if it's going to be about an hour every hour, so I can give an effective bid, impactful bid, money-making bid. No data equals no control over your margins. If you ain't got no data of what it's costing you to run, you ain't got no control over how much money you can make. Talk Jones. So here's what you need to do. Track your fuel costs, your mileage, your repairs, and your loan payments monthly. Divide total monthly cost by total miles ran. Adjust your rate based on this number and your profit goal. In other words, how much money you want to make. So let's just say, for instance, if I was to look at some of this, or give you my formula, bits and pieces of my formula. 95% of what we do is about hours. So if I got a job and down here in South Louisiana, if I'm making $100 an hour with a triax, okay, cool. Then, and if I go out there and that truck makes, let's just say 9 hours, well, 10 hours, and the truck makes $1,000. My job is to know how much per hour is it costing me. If I'm making $100 an hour, how much an hour is it costing me to run? Calculator, please. Well, I know one thing. I know the driver's making 20, let's just say 23 of that 100 right off the bat. I'm by the hour, so mine wouldn't be by the mile, right? So if I'm sitting there and my fuel cost has to be figured based upon an hour. So just say, for instance, if in that whole day the driver burnt let's say, okay, 5 miles a gallon. Let's say he put 100 miles. Let's say he put 200 miles on the truck, and we know 5 miles a gallon is average. And I did 2 miles, 5 miles per 200 miles, 5 miles per gallon, and then the amount of money per gallon that it takes. So it looks like about 30-something gallons, spent about $100 in fuel. So just to say I spent, I'm gonna just be modest and say 125. No, I'm gonna say 150 in fuel a day. $150 in fuel divided by the 10 hours. So $15 an hour for the fuel, plus the 23 for the driver. That's 38 right there. I had to go a step further because then I have to figure out my insurance down to the hour. How do you do that, country CEO? Well, that's pretty easy. If you're paying, let's just say you're paying $2,000 a month per truck. All right, a month. How many hours in a month? Well, if I had 30 days in a month time 24 hours in a day, that's 720 hours divided by 30 days. I think I got that right. 24 hours, and so I worked 10 of them. So we had to figure that out. I done got lost in it. I got this formula at my house, but you get the point is that you have to boil it down and figure out by the hour. I just showed you that my driver gets 23. My fuel is like $15 an hour. That's 38 right there, right? So if I'm getting paid $100 an hour, I got 62 to play with, but I got to figure out my insurance. I got to figure out my workman's comp, right? Those are the only two other things, right? And then that right there is going to tell me after expenses how much I'm actually making. What's my margin for the day, right? All right. That's how you do it, guys. You got to. Here's what I'm gonna leave you with. Numbers never lie. Numbers never lie. Find out how much you're making, guys, and that way you can be effective. Country CEO, I'm gone.